Hey everybody, I'm going to do a quick and imperfect, I guess, walkthrough on how to remove the redness out of the skin in this image. So take a look over here and see maybe some ways to get you started on it. Yeah, okay. So easiest way to get the red out of skin in something like this where it's really drastic, even in more subtle examples of skin redness, is probably a hue saturation adjustment. There's lots of different ways to do things, but I'm going to do a hue saturation and show you a trick for just selecting those reds and tweaking them. So we'll come down here, do a hue set, and I'm going to use this little finger tool there. It's called the targeted adjustment tool. Click on that and then click on the red. And notice what happens is that it puts a little band on this color wheel at the bottom that allows us to make this adjustment only apply to those specific colors. So let me show you. If we drag the saturation all the way over, it obviously looks pretty bad, but it tells me that from these yellows through to those magentas, we've got all those colors being included in this adjustment. So what we want to do now is just narrow that band a little bit. What helps sometimes is make this window a lot bigger. Then you can make small adjustments and still see what's going on. So I'm going to drag this over and let's get rid of some of those yellows because we don't want to mess with the yellows in the hair and the wall, her shirt, stuff like that. So we're going to bring this in quite a ways because we want to leave alone the natural skin color and the natural color of the photo and everything. Okay, the magentas I think are what we do want to get, but we can bring it maybe a little bit in. And with that saturation cranked to 100, it's just going to allow us to identify what tones or what colors are being affected by this particular adjustment. So there's a lot right there, but let's just make this a little bit more manageable. Okay, and then let's bring our saturation back down to what it was. Okay, so right now nothing's been done to this image at all. It's just it is base state. Our adjustment layer just has a setting now that we've chosen the colors to apply, so that it's going to allow us to adjust just those specific colors. So now we could adjust the lightness, we could play with the saturation, but what we want to do is change the hue. So bring the hue to the left and you can see we can make it whatever color, but that crazy adjustment's only going to apply to, you know, the areas that we selected in this color wheel. Let's bring this over to the right and actually get rid of those colors. If we go far enough over, then we start to get into yellow and green even. So maybe back off a little bit from there. I don't want to make her a different color than she was before even. So just for me, right about here at plus 25 worked. I'm going to bring the lightness down too and just take a look at what these do. It's going to make her gray. It's going to take out some of the color or give it a weird color. So maybe a little more lightness. No, I don't think I want to do any of that just yet. Okay, how about saturation? If we increase it, then that's not great, but we might decrease the saturation a little bit and get a better result. If we toggle that on and off, you can see that made a really big difference in the redness in that image. Okay, it might be too much. We might need to go back out here a little. There we go. Okay, so let's bring that saturation, turn the visibility on. And I'm going to break this into two steps because if I go too far on this, you know, it's going to be a weird color. So instead of doing that, let's undo. I'm going to just add a second hue saturation adjustment on top of this one. Okay, so we've got hue sat 1, hue sat 2. I'm in the second one. So first thing first, let's go pick our color again. There's still some of this redness here. So I'll select that. If we bring our saturation way up, you can see to a point we're still getting a lot of stuff that we don't want to, so we'll back that down. And right around, oops, sorry, my mouse is a little fiddly. Yeah, it helps make this a little bigger. Then these adjustments that you make, unless you got a really precise hand, which is not me, you can make more precise adjustments this way. Okay, You know what? We'll call that good. All right, I'll fix it in a minute. All right, bring our saturation back down to something normal. We can do this again and try to take out some more of the pink redness. And at a certain point, it's not going to happen, because what we're doing is we're changing the hue value, but there's also a brightness value inherent in those pixels that's different. So now I'm going to play with the saturation and maybe take a little saturation out. If I go too much, then there's gray spots. But really, I'm just getting rid of some of that color in there. Play with the lightness, because those pink pixels, those red pixels, they were darker. So let's just bring the lightness around somewhere like that. And if we turn the visibility on and off, you see that's making, again, still even more difference. So right there, we've got a big improvement over where we were to begin with. Okay, so hopefully that helps. This particular image, you don't have to do like a extreme makeover or anything. It's the goal of this particular photo is to remove the redness. Now, if you were to be particular and want to fix things up, you can see that there's still some darkness in these areas right here from that skin conditioner or whatever this photo is from. So you might want to tweak that a little bit. So let me show you one other thing, and this will be useful on your other parts of your assignment too. I'm going to do another adjustment layer. This time I'm going to do a levels, and it's hidden underneath my my screen capture application. It's hiding it. Here's let's do curves. Why not? All right, so curves, I'm going to do something to just brighten up the whole image, mainly in the midtones. So there's some brighter midtones, and it made the whole image too bright, which is not what I'm going for, and that's okay. This is just a different way to do dodging and burning. So our adjustment layer has a mask. I'm just going to do Alt-Delete, and it's going to fill that with my foreground color, which happened to be black. If it's not, then just undo it and hit Control-Delete or Command and Option alternatively. Now that hides the effects of this. So then I'm going to get my paintbrush tool, and let's choose a nice soft brush, a little bigger maybe. And let's bring the flow down low, like 15 maybe. The opacity down low too. Okay, and switch the paintbrush to white. Okay, now most of you probably know what's going on here. This is dodging and burning. This one is going to brighten things up. So paintbrush tool, if I paint on here with a white, what that's going to do is it's going to gradually start to show through the effects of that adjustment layer whose mask I'm painting on right now. So it may not look like much because it's pretty gradual with that low flow and opacity level that I have. But if I turn on my mask, you can see there's where I'm starting to paint in. If I hide that layer, see the effect right there? So it will make a big difference to go through and do a little bit of that subtle dodging and burning. Okay. Once you've done that and you're happy with the results, you might do one more step, and that is to add maybe a curves, maybe another hue saturation, or a color balance layer or something to kind of bring this back. Because to me, at least on my monitor right now, her skin looks a little bit off from human skin tone. So here's where what you do is go find an image, go on Google, find a reference image, like a picture where you've got a person with normal skin tone that you're trying to match, and use that as a reference. So don't just blindly start making color adjustments to this image without having something to compare it to side by side and say, this is what I think this person's normal skin tone looked like. And if you want to just turn off all your layers and look, there are some areas that are, I guess, her normal skin tone probably, like down here. So if you use that as a sample, we just take a sample of that. Let's zoom out. I'm going to make a new blank layer on the very top here. Paintbrush tool, and double check my opacity and flow back up. If I just paint up here, that's, I guess, her normalish skin tone. And is that matching what's in this image? Not quite. So I took a lot of pink out. So you might want to do the same things with the hue saturation and add some pink back into this. Or you might do it in a different way. I'll let you decide what works best for you. But there you go. Hopefully that helps in less than 10 minutes, and have fun.